Admiral Zethkara adjusted her crystalline exoskeleton as she gazed through the transparent aluminum viewport of her flagship, the Dominion's Edge. Before her stretched the primitive blue-green world the locals called Earth, its surface crawling, with billions of the bipedal creatures that had somehow managed to achieve basic spaceflight, despite their laughably short lifespans. "Status report," she commanded, her voice resonating through the bioacoustic chambers that lined the bridge. Commander Vextal, his scales shimmering with nervous energy, approached with a data crystal. "The human fleet has taken defensive positions around their homeworld, Admiral. Approximately 300 vessels of varying classifications." Zethkara's mandibles clicked in what her species considered laughter. 300? Against our armada of 5,000 ships? She gestured toward the viewscreen, where the massive hegemony fleet stretched beyond the horizon of space. These primitives truly believe they can stand against the combined might of 12 star systems. The bridge crew shared in her amusement, their various alien forms rippling with what could only be described as condescending mirth. The galactic hegemony had conquered 17 civilizations in the past century alone, each falling within days of first contact. These humans would be no different. "Their technology appears rudimentary," Vextal continued, consulting his readings. "Chemical propulsion, kinetic weapons, primitive energy shields. They've barely mastered nuclear fusion, Admiral. Our scouts report they still use physical projectiles in many of their weapon systems." "Projectiles?" Zethkara's compound eyes glittered with disdain. "How delightfully archaic. Do they plan to throw rocks at us next?" From her command throne, she opened a communication channel to the human fleet. The face that appeared on screen was weathered and scarred, belonging to an aging male with graying hair and determined eyes that spoke of countless battles fought against impossible odds. "I am Admiral Chen of the United Earth Defense Force," the human said, his voice steady despite facing overwhelming opposition. "You are in violation of Earth's sovereign space. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences." Zethkara's laughter echoed through the bridge. "Consequences? From primitives who haven't even achieved faster-than-light communication?" She leaned forward, her towering form casting shadows across the viewscreen. "I am Admiral Zethkara of the Galactic Hegemony. Your species has exactly 10 minutes to surrender unconditionally, or we will demonstrate why your kind should have remained in the trees." Admiral Chen's expression never wavered. "You know, Admiral, you're not the first species to underestimate humanity. The Mongols thought the same thing about medieval Europe. The British thought it about the American colonies. The Axis powers thought it about the Allies." His weathered face cracked into a grim smile. "They all learned the same lesson you're about to learn." "And what lesson is that, primitive?" "That humans don't just survive. We adapt, we innovate, and when you back us into a corner," Chen's eyes hardened to steel, "we become very, very dangerous." The transmission ended. Zethkara shook her head in mock pity. "Begin the assault. Target their capital ships first. Let's show them the price of defiance." The hegemony fleet surged forward, their advanced plasma cannons charging with deadly light. Energy readings spiked across 1,000 different sensor arrays as the most powerful armada in known space prepared to obliterate the pathetic human resistance. That's when everything went wrong. The first indication came from the sensor stations. "Admiral," came a panicked voice from the detection officer, "I'm reading massive energy buildups throughout the human fleet, but the signatures don't match anything in our databases." "Impossible," Zethkara snapped. "Their technology is centuries behind ours. What could they possibly—" Her words died as the human ships began to transform. What the hegemony had mistaken for primitive kinetic weapons were revealed to be something far more sinister. Weapon pods detached from the Earth vessels, expanding into complex geometric patterns that hurt to look at directly. The humans hadn't just built ships, they had built weapons platforms that could reconfigure themselves in real time. "Admiral," Vextal's voice cracked with terror. "The humans, they're not using conventional physics. Those aren't projectile weapons, they're mass drivers operating on principles we don't understand." The space around Earth erupted into chaos. What appeared to be simple railgun rounds suddenly curved through space as if physics itself had become negotiable. Each projectile split into dozens of submunitions that somehow maintained perfect targeting solutions despite traveling at relativistic speeds. But worse than the impossible ballistics was what happened when the rounds hit. The first hegemony destroyer simply ceased. Not destroyed, not vaporized. It ceased to exist, as if it had never been there at all. The space where it had been was now empty, but sensors detected no debris, no energy signature, nothing. "Status report," Zethkara roared, her composure finally cracking. "We've lost 12 ships in the first volley," came the response. "Whatever, they're firing at somehow weaponizing quantum uncertainty. Our shields might as well be tissue paper." Admiral Chen's voice crackled across all hegemony frequencies. "You wanted to see primitive human technology, Admiral? Well, here's the thing about humans. We don't just build better mousetraps. We build devices that convince mice they never existed in the first place." The human fleet advanced, their reconfiguring, weapons continuing their impossible dance of destruction. What the hegemony had dismissed as primitive projectile weapons were revealed to be something far more terrifying. Weapons that operated on principles of quantum mechanics that their most advanced scientists couldn't even comprehend. "How?" Zethkara whispered, watching as another wave of her ships simply vanished from existence. "How did a primitive species develop such technology?" Admiral Chen's response came through clearly. "Because while you advanced species were focused on energy weapons and faster ships, we primitive humans were asking a different question. What if we could convince reality itself that our enemies' ships were just really unlucky coincidences?" The battle was over in 17 minutes. When the quantum static cleared, Admiral Zethkara found herself in command of exactly 43 ships out of her original 5,000. The rest hadn't been destroyed. According to every sensor and database in the hegemony, they had never existed at all. "Admiral Chen," she transmitted, her voice hollow with defeat. What do you want?" The weathered human face appeared on screen again, and this time, his smile held no warmth. "We want you to go back to your galactic hegemony and deliver a message. Tell them that Earth is under the protection of a species that learned long ago, that the most dangerous enemy is one with nothing left to lose and everything to prove." As the surviving hegemony ships limped away from Earth's solar system, Zethkara contemplated the terrible truth she would have to report to her superiors. They had encountered a species that didn't just master technology, they had mastered the art of making the impossible seem inevitable. Humanity hadn't just won a battle. They had redefined what winning meant, and in the vast archives of the galactic hegemony, a new entry appeared in the species classification system. Humans. Status: avoid at all costs. Classification: impossibly dangerous. Note: species exhibits ability to weaponize logic itself. Recommend immediate reclassification of threat level to extinction event. The primitives, it turned out, had been teaching the universe new lessons all along.